webinar series. The topic of today is called IT outsourcing after COVID-19, risks, concerns, and mitigations. My name is André Holvik and I work for Mnemonic. Today I will present highlights from the white paper we published earlier this week. I will also add some more context to some of the topics. Before we get started, I want to highlight that the new mnemonic webinar series has a number of topics already available, and we have more topics lined up as well. So follow us on LinkedIn or visit the mnemonic.no website to get more information about upcoming webinars. Before we review the agenda, I want to inform you that I'm joined today by a moderator during this webinar. He will monitor the chat window and will respond to questions that you raise during the session. If we have time at the end, we will also open up for some more questions. We will first touch into how the recent coronavirus outbreak has sparked an interesting discussion on how customers who have outsourced some of their IT services should consider taking some actions related to any potential new risk exposures. I will then introduce you to the white paper and review the technologies that are in scope for this paper. There are other topics that are just as relevant, like disaster recovery and business continuity planning, but these will not be covered today. Some common use cases that customers tend to outsource are listed here. Many of these functions are core to the business, and any availability issues or incidents affecting any of them can result in a monetary loss and lost business. Some of these use cases will be impacted if the delivery model is changed due to the current virus outbreak. So how does the risk exposure change right now? First of all, large organizations across the world takes precautions, like moving employees to new locations or to home office remote access. We also see that governments introduce new policies that prohibit people from going to work or make it close to impossible to get to the office. This causes concerns to companies who have outsourced part of their overall IT operations to an outsourcing partner. As marked in bold, the question becomes, from where will my sensitive data and my infrastructure be accessed now? This is the reasoning behind writing this white paper, not to promote insourcing, but to ensure that available risk mitigation efforts are considered. So to scope the set of technologies introduced in the white paper and in this webinar, we have settled with 8 different approaches that each and every one will enhance security when implemented correctly, and that will reduce the risk related to specific operations that are outsourced. Our first recommendation is related to SIEM, or Security Information and Events Management. This technology has been around for many years, but has become increasingly popular to ensure organizations get visibility across their infrastructure. It is also a good place to monitor admin activities and changes performed on critical systems. Also, retaining logs for investigation purposes or compliance purposes are very common use cases in SIEM projects. When remote users are accessing critical systems, it's very important to have access to all the relevant log sources that will include details about all the activities available that are related to a user, application, or a computer. Here's a list of important log sources that will make up a good baseline to ensure that it's all covered. The log level for the different log sources should be tuned by following guidelines to ensure enough data is logged, while at the same time not overwhelming the SIEM solution. The second recommendation relates to VPN. This technology has been used by customers for many years to facilitate secure access to systems. What we recommend is that organizations review their current VPN configuration to ensure that it follows best practices guidelines. We also recommend that organizations consider introducing what is called posture checks to ensure all computers connecting must meet a set of baseline security requirements before being allowed to proceed with a connection. So here are a few examples of hardening options. There are many more, but we recommend that you review the available options and decide on how to restrict it even more. When it comes to posture checks, there are many different attributes that can be utilized. Some of these checks may be or may not be supported by your current VPN solution, but we recommend that you review the options that you have available. Our third recommendation relates to privileged access management and how important this is to be able to manage user permissions correctly and in a central way across all critical systems. This is also important to be able to document all remote activity for privileged accounts and how they are being used. The goal with this technology is to aim for the principle of least privilege and to ensure permissions are kept to a bare minimum required to perform a specific task, like accessing a system or, for example, running a maintenance script. It is very helpful to identify this way all the special accounts and to audit and log all usage of them. Introducing time-based access can also lower the risk exposed by these accounts. The next topic we want to cover is endpoint detection and response, also called EDR. This has emerged as a critical technology to be able to both detect and respond quickly when some unexpected activities happen. It is also a great tool to isolate and contain compromised systems in case of high severity incidents. Endpoint detection and response adds a very comprehensive toolbox with features related to monitoring anything from running processes, registry changes, file and network activities, to detect unwanted software installation attempts, as one example. These tools also provide hunting capabilities that will be crucial in order to understand the impact that a specific incident might have on your organization. Being able to run queries like, where is this process running right now? What computers have this registry key setting? Serves as examples on the kind of queries that the admins can execute. The ability to run such queries will save your organization a lot of time during critical situations. It will also provide real data to base your decisions on. A new technology area that has emerged over the last years is called cloud security posture management. In essence, what this kind of technology offers is first and foremost to help organizations avoid misconfigurations. Misconfigurations that might lead to data leakage incidents or to compliance violations, to name a few. This technology is also used to ensure cloud security is configured and deployed following best practice guidelines to operate a secure and stable infrastructure. So to be a bit more specific, here are some of the key use cases that makes this technology very helpful to customers striving to secure their cloud deployments. It's not just about monitoring, alerting, or reporting on high severity incidents. It's also about having capabilities to auto remediate, meaning that high severity incidents can be resolved automatically without any admin intervention. Even if there is some potential overlap between the cloud security posture management and cloud access security broker, we want to keep this technology separate for now, as they do have many different capabilities. Cloud access security brokers do have infrastructure as a service features as well, but for now, we will focus on the SaaS features that these tools provide. Some key features this technology brings to the table is monitoring core SaaS applications to understand what is happening within these services and also to enforce policies on how data should be managed and what kind of data that should never be uploaded to any SaaS application, as an example. Getting visibility into core SaaS-based business applications can be very useful to understand how these are being used or potentially misused. Some common cloud services in scope are Office 365, Salesforce, and ServiceNow, to name a few. The great thing about this technology is that the integration with the SaaS providers happens on the back end via APIs. Like in the Office 365 example here, multiple APIs might be used to support different modules within this Microsoft platform. The Cloud Access Security Broker will maintain these API integrations, so this is fully transparent to customers. So as these integrations are based on the backend and API based, means that no traffic redirect is required. They are easy to integrate from both sides and adds instant value due to the pre-built dashboards, reports, and metrics prepared by the cloud access security providers. To be a bit more specific, I have added here some common activities that can be monitored and alerted upon. This is a very useful way to gain insight into services like Office 365 and ensure that your outsourcing provider is following your guidelines. In the same way, admin activities can be monitored to ensure your SaaS application is managed in the right way. All the cloud access security brokers have implemented behavior analytics into their platform. This feature provides baselining and can alert if something out of the ordinary happens to any of your cloud services. This is a great way to detect security-based outliers, people, internal or external, that adds risk by the way they behave inside core applications. The last feature I want to mention on this is the capability to undo insecure actions performed by users. One example might be that a user decides to share a spreadsheet with someone external, for example in OneDrive or in Box, this operation can trigger a policy violation by the cloud access security broker, and the sharing permission can be automatically removed, so access is blocked and the external collaborator can no longer access the Excel sheet. To be able to secure critical assets in the best possible way, insider threat technologies have emerged to detect suspicious behavior on critical endpoint computers and servers. Some common use cases related to protecting sensitive data, to remediate human errors, and to continuously monitor critical systems to look for risky behavior. The monitoring and potentially block enforcement operations can be complemented by full recording capabilities to be able to do a full forensics analysis later on with replay access. To add some more context, I have a list here with a set of common use cases that this kind of technologies will support. As discussed, this is primarily for high-risk systems, but security-minded organizations can also deploy such features to the majority of their workstations and to the contractors' workstations, and maybe even to a set of servers. So as you see here, the list is quite comprehensive. It has some very useful monitoring techniques. So this is highly recommended to look into. And now we have made it to the final recommendation that we have listed in this webinar: data loss prevention on endpoints. This is a very common technology deployed by thousands of organizations to monitor what is happening on the endpoints that is related to sensitive data. This is sometimes called data in use, meaning that you will have different plugins to your operative system that will monitor anything from USB access to print spooling tasks to browser communication to copy paste between applications to activities like copy files to a local file share, to external file shares, to an offline network accessible storage at home, and so on. So this is a very useful technology, both for online and offline use cases when the user is disconnected from the network. The technology is used to monitor how users and applications are handling sensitive data. It can also, in real time, ask a user for confirmation before completing actions like a copy-paste or starting a print job. It can block actions like uploading sensitive data to a cloud storage service or block sensitive data from being sent onto a removable media device like a USB. Another very powerful feature is the ability to scan all workstations to search for sensitive data that should under no circumstances be stored locally. Other relevant topics. So as mentioned in the beginning, this white paper only covers a set of 8 recommended technologies that can help you reduce your risk related to outsourcing. A few more additional topics are relevant and listed here. On this slide, you see also that we have a link to where you can find this white paper and also upcoming white papers to be published by Mnemonic. So as you see, 3 areas here that would also make sense to investigate: disaster recovery and business continuity planning, which is very crucial, of course, and especially in the current situation where there are concerns about how will this be handled during outbreaks, lockdowns, and challenges to get people into the data centers. Same goes for IT outsourcing and cyber insurance. And finally, there's a lot of discussions these days on video conferencing concerns, concerns related to privacy, to the data sharing with other applications, to the endpoint application security, and so on. So, any questions before we end this webinar? Are there any questions raised that hasn't been responded to? If not, I just want to thank you for attending. I hope this was useful. And if you want to know more about any of these topics, please reach out to Mnemonic. Thank you.